Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's explainer, where we're going to tackle a completely fascinating psychological concept. We're talking about those incredibly specific visceral phenomena that you experience every single day. But, you know, you probably constantly struggle to articulate them.
Have you ever felt a feeling that just doesn't have a name? Seriously, think about it for a second. You're just going about your day, and out of nowhere, your brain gets hit with a sensation so profound and so highly specific, but when you actually try to explain it to a friend, language completely fails you. Well, today we are taking a journey from the nameless to the named. We're going to finally put some vocabulary to those deeply human experiences you thought you were going through all by yourself.
All right, Section 1, the illusion of connection. Our brains have these strange, sometimes really hidden ways of processing how we interact with, or honestly, even just observe the other people around us. Let's set the scene. You're stuck in traffic. It's totally mundane, right? You're looking out your window at a stranger sitting in the car right next to you. Now, naturally, to you, they're just background scenery. They're an extra in the movie of your life. But then this sudden, really heavy realization hits you out of nowhere. And that brings us to our very first term, sonder. This is that sudden, overwhelming awareness that every single stranger you pass by is the protagonist of their own story. Think about it. That person in the car next to you, they have a family, they have deep secrets, crazy regrets, and wild dreams they've literally never told anyone about. They are living an entire, complex existence right parallel to yours, and you are never going to see even 1% of it. Once you learn the word sonder, I promise you, you won't be able to stop noticing it everywhere. Now, let's consider a much more direct interaction. You're talking to someone, you make eye contact, and suddenly, you become hyper-aware that they are looking directly into you. It's so awkward, right? Like, how long do you hold it? Where exactly are you supposed to look? Well, that intense discomfort of sustained eye contact finally has a name, and it's called opia.
So, the crucial point is why this feels so incredibly invasive to us. When you hold eye contact, your brain's amygdala completely fires up, your pupils dilate, and this is fascinating. Eye contact actually triggers the exact same neural pathways as physical touch. So, to your brain, that sustained, locked in look literally registers as someone physically grabbing you. No wonder it causes us so much everyday anxiety.
Okay, let's shift from looking to listening. Imagine you're at this really lively dinner party. You're nodding, you're smiling as your friend tells a story. But if you're perfectly honest with yourself, you're not actually listening to them. You're literally just waiting for your turn to talk. And guess what? They're doing the exact same thing to you. This phenomenon is called anecdote, a conversation where nobody is actually listening. There is a pretty harsh reality to this dynamic. What you think is happening at that dinner table is a dialogue, right? A meaningful exchange of ideas. But what is actually happening is a room full of competing monologues. Sociologist Charles Derber actually coined a brilliant phrase for this: conversational narcissism. In modern conversations, we're often just taking turns performing, completely competing for attention. And the tragic part? Everyone ends up leaving the room feeling totally unheard. And honestly, that lack of genuine connection leads directly right into monachopsis. This is that subtle but super persistent feeling of being totally out of place. You're at that same exact dinner party, you're laughing, you're participating, but inside, you feel like an alien pretending to be human. You just do not belong there. Psychologists actually link this specific isolating feeling to depersonalization and chronic social disconnection. It's basically a silent epidemic where you can be completely surrounded by a room full of people and still feel utterly alone. Let's move to Section 2, Survival Instincts and Spaces, and see how this builds. Picture this. You're inside your home. There is a massive, violent storm outside. Rain is just heavily hammering the glass windows. Thunder is rolling in the distance. But you are warm. You are safe. You are experiencing chrysalism, the amniotic tranquility of being inside during a storm. There's this deeply specific, incredibly peaceful feeling that just washes over you when you're watching the world tear itself apart, all while you're safely sheltered behind a pane of glass. And there's actually a fascinating biological reason for this profound sense of peace. Scientists believe chrysalism is a direct evolutionary response. For hundreds of thousands of years of human history, finding shelter during bad weather literally meant the difference between life and death. It meant survival. So today, your brain rewards you with this huge, deep sense of calm because you've done the exact thing that kept your ancestors alive. The storm simply cannot touch you. But what happens when an environment feels entirely wrong?
Imagine walking through a massive shopping mall at midnight. It's completely empty, dead silent. Or think of an echoing school hallway in the dead middle of summer. That hollow, creepy feeling? It has a name: canopsia. It's the eerie atmosphere of locations that are usually packed with crowds but are now totally abandoned. So why does a simple empty space make the hair on your arms stand up? It's all about your brain's ancient threat detection system. You see, your brain is constantly expecting patterns. Spaces like malls and schools are explicitly designed for noise and movement. So when that familiar environment violates your brain's expectations, it triggers a low-level threat detection. Your brain is essentially screaming, hey, something is wrong here. The physical space hasn't changed one bit, but the sheer absence of people makes the whole place feel intensely haunted.
Which brings us to section 3, when your brain misfires.
Let's look at those truly bizarre moments when our internal monologue and our cognitive wiring just seem to completely betray us. You're standing at the edge of a steep cliff, or maybe you're looking over a super tall balcony. You're not suicidal. You're perfectly happy, totally safe, and then, out of absolutely nowhere, your brain whispers, what if you just jumped? Not because you want to, but just because you could. Your heart instantly races, you snap out of it, and you step back. This terrifying split-second phenomenon is l'appel du vide, the call of the void. Now, if you have felt this, please do not worry. A 2012 Florida State University study actually found that these intrusive thoughts are just your brain's hyperactive safety system totally misfiring. You are near a dangerous drop, right? So your brain is desperately screaming at you, don't jump. But the weird thing is, the act of intensely imagining the danger in order to avoid it actually creates the thought itself. The call of the void is absolutely not a desire to jump. It's just your brain making absolutely sure that you stay safe and step the heck back. All right, here is another incredibly common misfire. It is 2 in the morning, you are lying in bed, wide awake, having an absolutely furious argument with someone who cut you off in traffic 3 weeks ago. You imagine exactly what they say, you deliver the absolute perfect, devastating response, and you just destroy them with logic. This is called jouska, a hypothetical conversation you compulsively play out in your head. Psychologists explain that we actually do this because our brain is actively trying to prepare us for social conflict. And hey, that's a good thing. But here is the glitch. When you're rehearsing a fight at 2 a.m. over something that happened weeks or even years ago, it completely stops being useful conflict preparation. It is literally just your brain spinning its wheels, totally exhausting itself over a fight that is already completely over, or, let's be real, will never even begin. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how our brains can even glitch with something as simple and foundational as language itself. Let's look at semantic satiation. This is when temporary meaning is completely lost simply through repetition. Let's actually walk through the steps of this together right now. Say the word bowl. Now say it again. Bowl, bowl, bowl. If you keep doing this for about 30 seconds, something in your brain just breaks. Step 3 kicks in, the word stops being a word entirely and just becomes meaningless noise. Your mouth is still making the shape, but scientists think the actual neurons responsible for word recognition literally get exhausted from firing over and over again. They just clock out and stop responding. The word becomes completely alien to you, and for a few fleeting seconds, you literally forget what a bowl even is. Wild, right? All right, let's wrap this up with section 4, the power of naming. And this brilliantly illustrates how we can tie all of these disparate, seemingly chaotic feelings together into one unifying thesis about language. When we map these weird phenomena to human history and cognition, a pretty clear pattern emerges. We see that our evolutionary leftovers give us feelings like chrysalism and canopsia, our deep reactions to finding shelter in storms or sensing danger in empty spaces. Our cognitive glitches give us the call of the void and semantic satiation when our brains just misfire around heights or repeating words. And our social illusions? They cause anecdoche and monopsias, making us feel totally unheard or alienated even when we're in a crowded room. Categorizing them like this shows us that these aren't just random crazy thoughts. They're deeply rooted, fundamental human experiences. For millions of years, human beings survived simply because we could name direct physical threats: a predator, a fire, a steep cliff. But we never really developed an extensive language for the spaces between our emotions, the intense feeling of forced eye contact, the heavy awareness of other complex lives passing us by on the highway, the primal safety of a storm. Your brain has been experiencing these specific feelings your entire life. So I want to leave you with this provocative thought to ponder today. We finally have words for these phenomena,
But what other spaces between emotions are you feeling right now in your own life that still need a name?